Hello, New Brunswick Presbytery. I'm delighted to be with you to talk a little bit briefly about justice and the New Testament, in particular, justice in the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, the last book in the New Testament canon. I did some work several years ago on the book of Revelation, and I entitled that work, Can I Get a Witness? Reading the book of Revelation through an African American lens. I did that for two reasons. One, the language of witness in the book. I say to people all the time that the book of Revelation has a title. It's a singular title, Revelation, not revelations. There's one revelation in the book of Revelation. There are many visions, but one revelation. What is that revelation? That Jesus Christ is Lord. What is the ethical expectation, having known that revelation? To witness to it. Witness to that revelation that Jesus Christ is Lord. Why is that problematic? Because in the context in which John of Patmos found himself, the expectation was from the governing principal bodies that one would recognize the lordship of Rome and of the Caesar, the ruler of Rome. And when there came a conflict between recognizing the lordship of Christ and recognizing the lordship of Rome, one was beholden to recognize the lordship of Rome and the Roman Caesar. And if one did not, then multiple kinds of penalties would occur. One could lose one's social standing, one could lose one's property, one could lose even one's life. So in this case, John expects his people to live into the witness to the lordship of Jesus Christ, and he uses language over and over again to make that case. For example, when he starts the book, he begins with, in chapter 1, the language of Jesus as the faithful witness, and then he also turns to the expectation that Jesus as the faithful witness will become, you see in the church to Laodicea, Jesus as the faithful witness, the expectation that we will witness as well. John in 9:1 witnesses, and then he sees the souls of those who also witness like John and Jesus that have been slaughtered up in the heavens in chapter 6. They're the ones who conquer because of their witness in chapter 12, verse 11. And then in chapter 20, verse 4, they are also those who have witnessed to the lordship of Jesus Christ. He uses the example of Antipas in 2:13, my witness, my faithful one among you. The expectation is that you will be, as Jesus was, a witness to his own lordship. The second thing that comes out of this for me, it moves directly to that justice element, and that is the language of patient endurance. It's hupomone in the Greek. It's translated often patient endurance. I translated it as nonviolent resistance. John never expects his people to act violently in the book of Revelation, but he does expect them to resist. There is a lot of violence that's taking place as the conflict between God and the satanic forces that are represented by Rome engage one another. But John never expects his people to act violently, but he does expect them to resist in powerful, tremendous ways to demonstrate that there is an expectation that Jesus's lordship will be revealed and will be acknowledged. Now, what does that mean in terms of broader understanding of justice? Well, what does Jesus's lordship bring and reveal? Well, John talks about it in terms of not giving in to the demands of the Roman economy that leads even to the selling of human souls. John talks about it in terms of the expectation that there is not a power of empire that will overwhelm the expectations and the hopes of individual people and individual communities of people. So this thrust against imperial interest and force, this thrust against being beholden to an economic superstructure that devalues human life, human beings, and human community, those two ways of representation live themselves out in John's work in the book of Revelation. Now, of course, there is much more that I could describe. I'm talking quickly so I can get as much in as I can within this short period of time, but I hope you get the idea. Recognize Jesus's lordship. Recognize that Jesus's lordship is different from the kinds of lordship that are in control, that are represented by imperial and overwhelming economic interest in the world in John's time and in our own time, and recognize that we are beholden, we are called upon to witness to Jesus's lordship no matter what the consequences might be. In other words, wherever you see a situation and a circumstance where some lordship tries to lay claim to the expectations of people in our world, in our city, in our locality, resist, nonviolently resist, and proclaim the alternative truth in this case that is the real truth, and that is that Jesus is Lord, the thing that is being revealed in the book of Revelation.